So we back at it again, recording one last video for 2021, or what's left of it. And I'm just gonna talk and play, because I want to sort of give the year of 2021 a review, because a lot of stuff happened this year, mad stuff happened this year. So I don't want to necessarily go month by month, because I don't, my memory ain't all that good like that. But I want to talk about certain events that occurred in this year, starting with probably the most important thing that happened this whole damn year. Trump supporters stormed the Capitol building, and they were rioters. Basically, Trump had amped them up after a campaign rally, in which he encouraged them to, go to the Capitol building. He didn't necessarily tell them to loot and kill and destroy property and all that, but that's exactly what they did. Oh Lord. They got into fights with Capitol Police. They mobbed and stormed them, beat them up, and people even died that day. Ooh, that's bad. And they did this because they wanted to change the results of the election that happened in 2020, in which Joe Biden beat Donald Trump. Narrowly as hell, by the skin of his teeth and COVID, but he did beat Donald Trump. These MAGA people had been fed lies by the former president. He had, amped them for months that if for some reason he lost the election, it would be because it was stolen from him, and they took that to heart. He even tried to tell them how the quote-unquote election would be stolen. He told them not to use mail-in ballots because they wouldn't be counted, which ironically enough, the mail-in ballots are what did Trump in, because all the Democratic voters used mail-in ballots because they didn't want to vote, in-house that the day of, due to COVID. They didn't want to go to actual polling places and vote in person because COVID was and still is a very real thing. Oh Lord. But he told them, don't go there, don't vote in person, or don't vote by mail, vote in person. And they did. But what happened was he lost. Trump totally mismanaged COVID. His campaign strategy was terrible. So was Biden's, by the way. But, COVID had a bunch of COVID deaths. And he didn't tout the vaccines highly enough. As a matter of fact, the vaccine hadn't been fully distributed by the time, the election was over with. But this isn't just about politics, but I'm just giving the backdrop, given the context in which the events of January 6th unfolded. Because anytime you talk about an event, you got to talk about the context in which the event occurred, you know what I mean? You got to do that so that the comprehension of that event is more sound. So anyway, he amped them up, made them feel like the election was going to be rigged. I mean, he even used those words. The election's going to be rigged. And when he lost, they got really upset. They got incensed. And they really thought that if they stormed the Capitol and interrupted a ceremonial procedure, they would get Mike Pence to overturn the results of the election and declare victory for Donald Trump. Boy, how misguided they were. Because Mike Pence did not overturn a goddamn thing. They ransacked a bunch of offices, took a bunch of pictures. They snitched on themselves all over social media. And hundreds of them have been arrested and charged with all kinds of federal crimes. And some people, some of the more higher profile ones, have gone to jail. They've already been sentenced. Which is good. Because I've never seen anything like this, where you have pissed off partisans storming and invading the Capitol building because they didn't like the results of a democratic election. Like, that's just garbage. Now, it's fine to protest the results of the election. You can protest all you want. You have that First Amendment right all day long. But under no circumstances should that protest turn into a straight up riot, or turn into a riot in which you invade a federal building with the intent on causing bedlam and chaos in order to try to undo the results of a democratic ass election. Because yeah, that's kind of insane. That was just in January. But then, in 2021, we had several high-profile deaths. Colin Powell passed away. Shock G of Digital Underground passed away. Biz Marquee passed away. DMX. We lost DMX this year, which is fucking insane. Never thought I'd be saying that. But about Colin Powell, when he passed away, the media gave him a tongue bath because he dared to be one of those Republicans or former Republicans that turned Democrat, that the Democratic Party be sitting there idolizing over. Like, in their mind, there's just millions of former conservatives that just want to be Democrat. If only the Democrats could move more right and centrist, And he was one of those ones that gave light to that theory. And when he passed away, like I say, they gave a bunch of glowing art pieces about him and stuff like that. And to be clear, I mean, he should be commended for his service. You can tell the story about what he did, but by the same token, lavishing all kinds of supercilious praise on the man because he doesn't like Donald Trump and didn't like what the Republican Party had become and voted for the first black president, without honestly examining his actual record, especially the fact that he lied us into war with Iraq. That's not gangsta. That's not gangsta at all. You know what I mean? Because if you're going to tell the truth, you got to tell the whole ass truth. Oh, I didn't know how close I was to the front. Oh, Lord. I got a little too happy with the jumps. But yeah, so he passed away. And like I said, we lost DMX, which is bananas. That was insane. And that's a big deal because DMX was probably one of the most genuine individuals in hip-hop. You know. Like, the man was exactly the person that you heard on these records. A troubled street dude trying to shake his demons, who really had immense talent as an MC. You know. So that was a, spectacular loss for the culture. What else happened this year? COVID. This was the year of COVID. So, this year, me and Vicky got sick with COVID around March. I think it was March 17th to be exact, if I'm not mistaken. And it was not fun. We were very fortunate because we avoided some of the very worst symptoms, but I did lose my sense of taste. Not totally, but I had, probably about 80% loss of taste. My sense of smell was compromised, which was insane, because, I have this cologne that I use called Curve, and, I buy it because I think it smells great. But with this cologne that I bought, it started to stink. Like, I could smell parts of the smell, but not all of it. And the part that I smelled was just, I couldn't even stand it. I had to take off one of my shirts that had a bunch of it. It was ridiculous. I was tired. I coughed up a lot of mucus. Did a lot of coughing, actually. But those were the worst symptoms that I had. Vicky had a lot of those same symptoms, but she had breathing problems as well. But, after, about a month, we had pretty much made a full recovery with no lingering symptoms. I've had none of what has been come to known as long COVID symptoms. I don't have any of that. Matter of fact, after COVID, I started to get back into playing trumpet again, which you need a lot of lung power for that. So I consider myself very, very fortunate. But some of my good friends have not been as fortunate. So a mutual friend of me and my wife's, or a couple actually, because they're together. Obviously, they've been married for I don't know how long it's been. It's been like it's been more than that, probably 4 years or so. Mondison and Shantae, they caught COVID, and Mondison had to go to the hospital. He was coughing up blood. He was, having all kind of respiratory issues, and he missed the birth of his first son because she was pregnant. Shantae was, ready to drop that mixtape right around the time he got sick, and he had to miss the birth of his son. He thought he was going to die, and he has more long-lasting COVID symptoms than I ever got. And so, when my students sit there and try to downplay the severity of COVID, I just tell them his story because it's a real story. It really happened, and you can't never really sit there and say, oh, COVID ain't nothing. This virus is not as bad as they're saying it is. Yes, it is. Or at least, yes, it can be. Of course, a bunch of my students have dealt with COVID. You know, one of my best students, she lost both of her grandparents to COVID. And as a matter of fact, right before this break, her mother was tested positive for it. And so she had to not show up to school right before the break because she didn't want to spread it. And the only reason I know is because she got in contact with me and told me. And I let her know that, hey, you did the right thing. You made the correct decision. You take care of your mother. I know she's proud of you. And we will see you in 2022, you know. So, yeah. And so that's what I said to her. And, yeah. But, I mean, that's not the only thing about COVID. The other insidious thing about COVID that happened this year is that 2 more major variants have developed. Well, actually, let me go back. We also got vaccinated. The vaccines dropped this year. 3 of them in the U.S., Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Moderna. Vicky and I got vaccinated with the Pfizer. You know, we got both of our shots basically in April and May. And we didn't think it was a big deal. We were like, yay, we're vaccinated, we Gucci. But now, or at least this year, people have developed entire identities and ideologies around whether you should get the vaccine or not, and it's kind of nuts. It's been very controversial, and it's like, dude, it's not like we don't have historical precedent for this. We've had highly infectious viral diseases before, and the country decided, as a country, hey, we're going to go and get vaccinated. Like, we're not going to politicize it. We're not going to play with this. We're just going to go and get the vaccine and move on with our lives. Oh, damn. But it's become heavily politicized, where basically the Trump supporters have decided, hey, we hate the vaccine. We don't believe in the vaccine. It's dangerous. It's terrible. It's horrible. COVID's not that bad. Like, they've come up with every excuse that you can think of to not get vaccinated. But now, as of this year, Donald Trump himself has come out on national TV in multiple interviews and told people, hey, I believe in the vaccine. You should get vaccinated. You should get the booster shot. The vaccine is one of my greatest accomplishments as president, which is true. Because Trump, it was under Trump that the vaccines originally developed to begin with, under Operation Warp Speed. Oh, Lord. Which basically speeded up the development of the vaccines and cut a bunch of red tape in having companies start production on the joints. And like I say, it is the very best thing that Trump's ever done as president. The very best thing Trump ever did as president. And it's something that he should be proud of. Absolutely, he should be proud of that. Now, of course, he also severely downplayed the virus. And he did so publicly in order to not worry folks. And he admitted so himself to the same reporter that broke Watergate. He released the audio tape of Trump saying exactly what I just told you. Yeah. So Trump, wow, he saved a bunch of lives by helping develop these vaccines. He also has a lot of blood on his hands because he publicly downplayed the severity of COVID and made, he called it a hoax. He called it the China virus, which has led to insane amount of hate crimes against Asian Americans. So much so that, we had to have the Stop Asian Hate campaign. And, yeah, it was kind of bananas, but, he downplayed the hell out of this virus. And so it's little surprise that his supporters would come away thinking that getting the vaccine would also be a liberal hoax. But I think part of the reason why Trump is like so off message with the rest of his base is the dude's not on social media anymore. Oh Lord, I didn't want to do that. And the reason why he's not on social media anymore is because Facebook banned him, Twitter banned him, due to the events of January 6th and about spreading lies and blah, 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 blah. And on the surface, that sounds like, yeah, he should be banned. Of course he should be banned because he did blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, other people that have spread lies and misinformation, they have not been banned. They have not banned any of the Democrats for lying about Hillary having the election of 2016 stolen from her. They lied for 2 and 3 whole years talking about some Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin collaborated together to steal the election from Hillary. And that's been allowed to rock all over the place on Facebook. Even though the Mueller report basically threw a big old monkey wrench in that theory. Hi, babe. I'm up here recording a video playing Mortal Kombat. Can you believe that? See, even she knows that it's been a long time since I did this. But yeah. Yeah. They let that rock for years. And they still let that rock. But they clamped down on Donald Trump, though. And it's like, look, I don't like his ass either. But I can't help but think that y'all got at this dude due to pettiness rather than principle. Oh, Lord. I mean, if he violated your terms of service, then he violated your terms of service, and you got to go get him. And that's fine. But if you're just getting at him to make an example out of dude, and you're not applying it unilaterally, then you trash, and you're partisan, and you're giving these damn Trump supporters mad ammunition to not believe the media because they all think it's biased against them anyway. We don't need that. But anyway, so all of that stuff has happened. I was talking about vaccines and how controversial it's been. So yeah, so of course Joe Biden comes in as president, and he's, doling out vaccines and touting the effectiveness of the vaccine and encouraging Americans to get vaccinated. And matter of fact, he set a goal of 100 million vaccinated people in the first 100 days as president, and he met that goal fairly easily, which is good. And now in the U.S., about 70% of adults have had one shot of a vaccine, which is terrific. But that also means that 30% of adults have not had one shot, and that's a big ass population. That's a lot of test bodies for this virus to mutate on. And that's exactly what's happened, because two new major variants, actually it's been more than that, truth be told. But the two major variants that have gotten the most news and attention have been the Delta variant, and now the new one on the block that's terrorizing people nowadays is Omicron. Delta is about 4 times more infectious than the original COVID virus, and it caused more severe symptoms, blah, 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 blah. Omicron is like way even more infectious than Delta is. Like, it transfers mad easily. But the symptoms are not as severe, but it's still COVID, so it can still kill people. You know what I'm saying? And basically what happened was, once a whole bunch of people got vaccinated and the vaccine proved highly effective against Delta, the CDC sort of relaxed regulations and said that people indoors that are fully vaccinated don't need to wear masks and all that good jazz. We thought that we was kind of winning, but this virus has demonstrated that it is a devilish little beast. Because it did what viruses do, which is it mutated into a more biologically fit variant that's better at infecting people than its predecessors, and is more vaccine resistant than its predecessors. Any biologist will tell you that this was a predictable result of what's going on when you have a whole bunch of people not vaccinated, not trying to be vaccinated, and you got folks not wearing masks, not doing social distancing, all that good jazz. You know what I'm saying? It's been a whole ass mess. It's been a whole mess out here. And so now with this Omicron, flights are being canceled. All kind of stuff is happening. We might go and start having more restrictions again. The CDC has recommended that everybody now go and get a booster shot, which we will do because, we believe in science around here. And so we will definitely and definitively be doing that. Oh, let me change that outfit. Let me change that outfit right there. But, yeah. What am I doing? What the fuck? Oh, I meant to go here. Yeah. But, so COVID has been wreaking havoc out here in these streets. And there are no signs of it stopping as of right now. I unlocked this? Wait a minute. Is this the one I liked? Oh, it was this one. This was the one I wanted so I could look like Pikachu. Yes. Oh, that one's not as dope as I thought it was going to be. Alright, well then I'll just do this one. But yeah, so what else happened this year? Oh, so Travis Scott had a huge concert. I think it was Astro World in Texas. And there was a huge stampede of people. And folks died. And he mishandled it all the way. And there was massive loss of life all the way around. Now, that whole thing wasn't his fault, because when you look at the videos of the people before the event, they was turned up already. They was tripping. But he didn't make things no better once, he was on stage and all that stuff. So, that was a big thing. And people were canceling him and all that kind of stuff. Rapper DaBaby, which is a stupid ass name, he got into huge trouble for making a bunch of homophobic ass comments talking about, gay people getting AIDS and all this kind of stuff. And he found himself under fire and being quote unquote canceled. Of course, a bunch of raggedy motherfuckers came to his defense, talking about he has the freedom to say whatever he wants to say and blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, he does, but he doesn't have freedom from consequence, though. Gay people have been shit on enough. Speaking of people been shitted on, also this year, Dave Chappelle released several comedy specials in which he aggressively made a bunch of jokes against the trans community, and it led to Netflix employees walking out because they were protesting this show or this special being placed on Netflix. Like, they didn't want it to be canceled, but they they claim that these kinds of transphobic remarks from Dave Chappelle have a real life effect of increasing hate crimes against trans people and encouraging violence and stuff like that. And Dave Chappelle responded by doubling and tripling down, and that's been a whole debacle. You got raggedy ass people coming to Dave Chappelle's defense, and they're raggedy because though Dave Chappelle does make jokes, he's a comedian and he can make whatever kind of jokes he wants, he is not free from consequence either. And considering the fact that trans people still don't have the same civil rights that even gay people have, I don't think it's even remotely appropriate to be making all kinds of extraneous jokes about them. Make your little jokes, Make your little tranny jokes or whatever and keep it moving if you're going to do that. But don't go into whole ass tirades and questioning their validity and existence and all this type of shit. Like, you don't got to do none of that. And if you have a bunch of trans people telling you, hey, this is harmful to us, then maybe you should chill. As a decent human being, you should just take a step back and relax and be like, you know what, let me stop doing this. And Dave Chappelle's home high school canceled an event in which he was going to be in attendance speaking to people. They canceled it because the students there protested due to his, his comedy special and stuff. And so it's just been all kinds of crazy. What other things happened in 2021? All kind of crazy shit happened this year. Hey, babe. What up? Yeah. Yes, we will. I will go and get that. But then on some more personal stuff, me and Vicky celebrated 7 years of marriage this year, and we went to California. We went to Los Angeles, California. We went and saw the Hollywood sign. We went to Slauson Avenue and got some merchandise from the Rolling 60s Crip gang that's out there. And it was absolutely incredible. They were very friendly, very professional. Seriously. We got more professionalism from gang members than we do from actual, not actual or legitimate, but from so-called legitimate businesses around here locally. And of course, Vicky was highly apprehensive of going to Slauson Avenue and all this good stuff, But I'm like, I put it like this, babe. We're safer here than we are where we live. I feel much more comfortable around a bunch of gangbangers than I do around a lot of these damn gun-toting, highly partisan, problematic ass right-wingers. Because them dudes is crazy. They are the main ones, the only ones doing domestic terrorism these days. That leads me into more of what happened this year. We had more high-profile shootings. I can't even remember all the places where they happened. There was one in Texas. I think someone shot up a mall in Michigan. It's bananas. It's hard to keep up with all of it. But yeah, it comes down to gun nuts that are partisans, able to access weapons and all that. And they happen to be right-wing. Something about that ideology just promotes wanton violence for no reason. And the FBI has said as much. So, and they said this under oath at a congressional hearing. So it's like, my G, if that don't spell it out for you, I don't know what will. You just being a partisan, bro. But yeah, I know I'm missing so much stuff. What else happened this year? Oh, Bill Cosby had to be released from jail not because he was innocent, but because his constitutional rights were violated when he was convicted of his rape charges. Because what happened was, there's this deposition where he openly admitted that he puts drugs in women's drinks in order to have sex with them. He admitted it, but that deposition was never supposed to be used as evidence against him, but it was. And so, since it was used wrongly as evidence against him when it wasn't supposed to be, he had to be released from prison. And that was controversial. Obviously, I would never advocate for anyone's constitutional rights to be violated. Never in a million years. And if someone's wrongfully placed in prison or jail, especially unconstitutionally, you ain't gonna get me to agree with that ever. But by the same token, you have a bunch of folks pretending as though him being released from jail was vindication that he was innocent, and it's like, no, this does not vindicate him in any way. He's guilty as hell of what he's being accused of. He has no less than 60 accusers, all across the spectrum of ages and races. You know what I'm saying? Some of his own co-workers from the Cosby show say that he did this. So he's guilty as hell. But he was wrongfully imprisoned. And so because of that, they had to let him go. So that kind of sucks. That sucks a lot, actually. However, R. Kelly is now, well, actually, he got, oh, damn, I didn't even talk about Rittenhouse's bitch ass. Oh, my God. Okay. Yeah, so let's go back to Robert for a second. So Robert Kelly, he got found guilty of his damn pedophilia and all this stuff that he was doing, because he got brought up on new charges earlier this year, and he finally was found guilty. I think he's awaiting sentencing. I don't remember. All this is going off of memory. I haven't written down anything. This is just raw, memory juices flowing here. So if I miss things, understand that it was not purposeful or malicious. But anyway, so the Pied Piper of R&B is facing the Pied Piper. But you know who's not gonna face consequences for his actions? Kyle Rittenhouse. In case you don't know who that is, let me provide the backstory. So basically, there were protests in Kenosha, Wisconsin, following the shooting of Jacob Blake. A police officer shot an unarmed black man as he was leaving his car, getting into his car. I don't remember the exact details, but I think he was breaking up a fight or whatever. And police called on scene. They assumed that he was doing the fighting, and they clapped him. They shot him like 7 times. He lived though, and he was hospitalized and stuff like that. And I don't remember anything about the officers necessarily. I don't remember if they were charged or not, but there were protests in Wisconsin because apparently the police have a history of racial profiling there. So, as a response to these protesters, a kid that doesn't even live in Wisconsin named Kyle Rittenhouse was driven across state lines. He got his hands on an AR-15, and he showed up there to protect property and kill protesters, and that's what he did. He shot 3 people, killing 2 of them, none of whom were armed. And he was placed on trial, and it was highly publicized, and, you know, he shed some fake-ass crocodile tears on the stand, and he got off. And so that was highly controversial, because you can't defend property that doesn't belong to you. A, and B, you can't preemptively go ahead of time with a weapon and show up at an event and provoke people to attack you, and then use that provocation as self-defense. But apparently you can, if you're white and 17 years old. And that was demonstrated this year in 2021. However, the killers of Ahmad Aubry, who was a black man in Georgia, literally running down a neighborhood, where 3 white men followed him and shot him because they thought he was stealing. They were found guilty, and I don't remember what the sentences, if they had given out sentences yet, or what the sentences were, but they were all found guilty. And then, in another miscarriage of justice, there was this truck driver, this Spanish truck driver, I can't remember his name. His brakes failed, and he crashed into a bunch of people, caused a huge pileup, and he was sentenced to 115 years in prison for this. And obviously that caught the country's attention, and there's been a bunch of petitions to release him and stuff like that. And I don't know what all is going to come of this as of right now, but this happened towards the latter end of 2021. But like I said, I think it's a massive miscarriage of justice, because, you know, the guy, his brakes failed. He wasn't drunk. He wasn't high. He wasn't distracted. And he felt massive amounts of remorse because it was an accident, you know. Yes, there was a large loss of life due to this accident, but, you know, you have on one end of the spectrum where a kid can go and purposely kill 2 people and not go to jail at all. But then you have a Spanish man that accidentally killed 4 people because of mechanical failures. And what the hell? Where is this? I ain't lying. What? Now it disappeared. Maybe that was old. Anyway. Yeah. But you have a Spanish guy that accidentally kills people. Not because he was trying to kill people, but because of mechanical errors. And he gets sentenced to literally a century in prison, which is trash. You know. There's nothing else to say other than that's just straight up trash. But yeah, so that happened this year. What else am I missing? NFL legendary broadcaster John Madden recently passed away, literally as of a few days prior to making this video. And that's crazy. you know, because this is one of those high-profile deaths that you don't really foresee happening like that, you know. I mean, fortunately, he was able to live a long, healthy life. What is Rambo doing? You know, he was able to live, you know, to be 85 before that happened. Unlike DMX, who passed away at 50, which sucks. But, yeah. Oh, Lord, I didn't mean to do that. I don't know what to do. What? It... That was so weird. Oh, I didn't know it was coming. Oh, you Nick? Yeah. What else happened this year? Again, in more personal news. Oh, how could I forget? Shit. Before we went to California, me and Vicky went to Athens, Georgia, and we met up with my boy Wallace. You know, we met his dad and stepmother, and we kicked it and played a bunch of Mortal Kombat together, and we spent time and ate, and Vicky cooked for us and stuff like that. It was awesome, you know, because I feel like this video's been very negative so far, you know, and I'm just trying to recount all the stuff that happened in 2021. You know, I didn't mean for it to sound overtly negative, because it hasn't been all negative this year. A lot of great things happened as well, you know. So we met up with him, and that's been awesome. You know, we're trying to get him to come back. Actually, we're trying to get him to come to Florida, so we're trying to make those plans now. And it's cool because, you know, what the hell? In preparing the room for my family, because we took our back room and prepared it for them, put some beds and stuff in there. Like, that room is transfigured now. Because for years and years, that room had been empty. And we had basically let the cats be in that room and stuff like that. But we overhauled that thing. What the hell? And we overhauled it tremendously. We put bunk beds. We put a full-size bed. We put a little dresser and even a mirror. Like, it looks like a whole ass bedroom back there now. It's freaking terrific. So I'm quite proud of what we did. And so now we can have company come over, and they can have a place to be if they want to spend the night, because now that's an option. Oh my goodness. Punk. Huh? So that was a terrific thing that happened this year. Another very good thing that happened this year, well, before I talk about me personally, a terrific and amazing potential piece of technology was announced this year. The Valve Steam Deck, which is a portable PC that sort of has the same form factor as a Nintendo Switch, but it plays PC games. It has all the buttons that a controller needs. It has obviously L2, R2 triggers, analog triggers, and it even has some back buttons. But it's a full PC. And what's crazy about it is the power level. The Steam Deck is basically as powerful as a stock PS4 in terms of specs, which is crazy. And so it will be able to play a lot of mainstream game titles at what the hell? See, look, this whiffs. That's insane. But it's going to be able to play mainstream PC titles basically at 60 FPS or more. You know, it has a touchscreen. You know, it has haptic feedback. And it's the craziest thing about it is the price. The base model is $400. It comes with twice the storage that a Nintendo Switch offers. And you can put a micro SD card in there to increase the storage, which is bananas. And so I pre-ordered one, naturally, because I didn't want to sit there and wait and find out that they were dope and then not be able to get my hands on one. But I ain't got to pay for it until it's actually out. So it's supposed to be coming out in February of this year. Oh boy, what? Oh damn, I should have did that. But that thing's bananas, yo. But I did manage to get my hands on an even more elusive piece of technology, because through my boy Wallace, I was able to procure a PlayStation 5 this year. And it is all that. It is all of that. I mean, it's fully HD. I mean, it's 4K. It's bananas. It's a full HD console. Not, well, even the PS4 was HD, but I'm saying it's a fully 4K console. I mean, it looks so damn good. It's incredible. It plays all PS4 games basically, and a lot of them get free upgrades to run in 4K 60 as a matter of fact, which is mad important. This and the Xbox are the first consoles to offer variable frame rates, so you can decide for certain games whether you wanted to run at 30 or if you wanted to run at 60. And let me tell you, playing Spider-Man at 60 FPS is everything I had hoped for and more. I mean, it's 4K 60 gaming. It's quite incredible. The controller's really good too. I mean, it's pretty decent for fighting games. I just wish the touchpad wasn't so damn big, because sometimes I find myself accidentally hitting the touchpad way more often than I ever did on the DualShock 4, because that touchpad is huge. And right now, the PS4 or PS5 doesn't really have any alternative controllers. Like, you can only use a DualShock 5, or it's not even a DualShock anymore, it's called a DualSense. What the hell? I almost hit your mother. Oh! You know, it's called a DualSense controller. And, yeah. It's dope. It's very dope. And so, of course, because we got a PS5, I had to update the TV to go with it. And so we got our first 4K 120 hertz TV. And this TV is all of that. It's an OLED. It's 55 inches. It is glorious. Glorious. Bananas. Insane. Incredible. Wild. And, yeah, I have no need to go anywhere. Yeah. Matter of fact, Wallace upgraded his TV at around the same time. He got a TV very similar to this from the same family. His isn't an OLED, but you know, me and him exchange tips on what to do with the TV and stuff like that. You know, different settings that we put it on. It's been terrific, and you know, like I say, Wallace hooked me up with the PS5 because he found in Georgia where a GameStop was selling them, and he asked me if, you know, I wanted to cop. I'm like, hell yeah. So he went ahead and bought it for me. I cash apped him the money back, and he sent it and shipped it, and it was, you know, here in 2 days. I told my students about it. I was excited, and yeah, it's all that. Yeah. So 2021's been a very, very interesting year for me. It has been an interesting year for America because, you know, overall, obviously as you learn and you get older, you learn things and stuff like that, but, you know, you just get a chance to really absorb human nature, you know, in its full glory, and I use that euphemistically. And it's very, 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 very interesting. You know, I've discovered personally that people do not run like the plague or avoid things like the plague. They don't do that. They run right to the plague. They downplay plagues. They don't take them as seriously as they should because they don't think the plague is really the plague. And that's mind-boggling. Also, there are some people that they would rather risk their own lives than to do something that would help their fellow man. Which is the strangest thing to me, because that's one of my major keys in this life, is to do whatever you can do to benefit your fellow man, because this earth does not need us. You know, if people were not around, this earth would benefit and prosper. And so, oh Lord, that was bad. I didn't mean to do that. So it was just very staggering to discover stuff like this. Oh my God. Oh, I gotta do 1, 2. Okay. Get the... Oh Lord! He could win. He might win. Yeah, he will win now. Damn. But I messed up mad opportunities. But yeah, it's just very strange because, you know, what? Get your ass. Stupid. Wow. You might regret that. But it's just insane because, you know, I really did think, I mean, I knew people were evil, but you never think it's as bad as it is. You never think it's as bad as it is until you actually really see it for real, for real. Double mercy, baby. Oh shit. Yeah, you never really think it's as bad as it is until you really experience it and you know, breathe it in full, and it's like, damn, people really do suck this bad, don't they? Damn. What do we do about that? And you know, come away with the sense of futility, like, it don't matter how good I am, me doing the right thing will never guarantee that other people will do the same thing. You know, me doing the right thing, doing what I'm supposed to do, will never guarantee that they will do the same thing. It don't matter how good I am, there's nothing I can do to ensure that that goodness comes back to me. If it does, it's simply because of God, basically. And the thought of that is absolutely insane. That's why it's important to establish a network of people that are in your corner. Establish a network of people that give a fuck about you for real. And you don't let them go for nothing. You do whatever you can to make sure that them people are straight. If they need you for something, you make sure you handle it. You know, if you can help them, you help them. If you can give them good advice, you give them good advice. Do whatever you have to do to ensure that your network is tight. Make sure you're always in network. Just like with insurance, you know, because when you're out of network, you gotta pay. And the same thing applies with people. Stay in your network. You know, that's probably one of the most important things I've learned this year, and I'm gonna carry that into 2022. And obviously, I hope that 2022 is not as exciting as 2021 was, but I'm probably hoping against hope. So I don't know what the hell's gonna happen, but it's guaranteed to be interesting. With that being said, I'm gonna catch y'all later. One.